Hey Flosstube, it's Lori of Mischievous Stitches. It is Monday evening, the 2nd of October. I can't believe it's October already. This year has really went by fast. I missed my little weekend update. I was real busy this weekend with friends. I thought I'd pop back in. I have a few moments at home alone. Just got home from work, and before everyone comes in home en masse to disturb the quiet, I thought I'd do a quick video, show you where I am on the few pieces that I worked on this week, and show you a couple new purchases as well as a couple gifts. And let's get started. So I've continued to work on my needles and pins piece. My goal was to have the young lady finished last week, and that didn't happen. But I did. She's close. She is missing some of the fabric in her dress as well as the feather in her hat. So not much more to go on her, and I'm sure I'll get her finished this week. That is, if I put my mind to it and don't pick up something else, right? So that's where I am. I still love this piece. I love the colors, the strawberries. It's just different. But I've lost my bug a little bit. I don't know whether it's... Who knows? Who knows why people lose their stitchy bug? Everybody loses it for different reasons. I think this is my favorite time of year. You've got all the festivals and things going on around. I know we've got another festival that my husband and I are going to go to this weekend. And then the following weekend I will be stitching at the beach with Amy of Down Sunshine Lane and the Cross Stitch Pals. So I'm looking forward to that. Last Sunday, not yesterday, but the Sunday prior, I got a little more done on my baked goods by Little House Needleworks. I finished up this flower, and I have a leaf here, and that's it. That's all I did. I want to make a couple changes. I think I want to add some beads. There's French knots in the gingerbread man, but I think I want to use beads for his eyes and his buttons. Also, there's some yellow French knots here, and I think I want to put beads there as well. And of course, I just need to get to it. Great ideas, just not in the works yet. So that's where I am with baked goods. And so I worked on that Sunday, and I worked on pins and needles through the week when I had time to stitch. Then on Thursday, yes, Thursday night I made a new start for the coming weekend. So I made a start on this. It's the Shores of Hawthorne Hollow. I've had this for several years. I was trying to think of when I had kitted this up, and I'm thinking it's around 2010. There was a shop here in town that was only around for a few years, and I kitted it up the first year that shop was open. And they had a trunk show, or not really a trunk show. She had a sale on some, I think this is a picture of this plush fabric. I do not know the color, but I really like it. The only thing is, when I started stitching on it, there was no tag to tell me what count, but I kind of got a good look in it. I think it's 28 count, which is, of course, 14 stitches per inch. And they look enormous when you're used to stitching on 36 or 40 or even 32, and you go to 28. My stitches look this big. So I put a lot of this in Thursday night, or actually not this. I was outlining the box, and I got it stitched, at least this part. And the stitches looked enormous, and I said, you know, I'm going to stitch it over one. So I pulled it all out, and I put it back in over one. And that was just way too small. So then I said, well, let me do half stitches. So I put them all back in a half stitch. I didn't like the look of that either, so I pulled it all back out. Well, I got this started in preparation to go spend the week or the evening with Debbie and Donna. So after work on Friday, I left straight from work and took off to North Georgia, to visit with Debbie and Donna of D Squared again, who are just so wonderful. Debbie is just the best cook, and Donna keeps you in stitches, not these stitches, but keeps you laughing the whole time you're with her. We didn't get any stitching done on Friday. What was I thinking? I just took this out and looked at it for a little bit, because I was putting back what little I did stitch. I was putting back stitches that I had taken out the night before. But Diana joined us as well. Diana of It Is Kismet Stitches was there. And we had a dinner, and we talked, and we laughed, and just had a good time. I enjoy those ladies so much. So I stayed over that evening, and on Saturday we got up and we drove to visit with Caroline, who is Stitcher Carrie on Instagram. She doesn't have a Flosstube channel, and I'm hoping that I can say this and just say yet. But she was such a gracious host, and there was more, at least 20 ladies there for the Hawk Run Hollow Stitch Along that she hosted. And she gifted me with this needle minder. And if you see, it's a hawk. How cool is that? So everyone there, of course, is stitching on a Hawk Run Hollow. Some are stitching full pieces. Some are stitching the individual squares. The ones I recognized that were Flosstubers were Lorraine of Rags to Stitches USA. She was there. And Janet Coker on Instagram. She was there. Of course, she doesn't Flosstube yet. Emily of Eclectic Possessions and Diana of It Is Kismet Stitches, as well as Jessica, the Schoolhouse Stitcher. Gosh, there were so many. I know I'm forgetting a lot of ladies, and I do apologize if you're watching, but I had a great time, and I do look forward to joining them again soon. So Caroline did not send me home empty-handed. She is enabling me in a different way. I am really starting to branch out of just cross stitch into samplers, and which is probably going to lead me to join my local Embroiderers Guild again. She gave me a book of stump work, which I am very interested in stump work, but I have not myself ever done any stump work whatsoever. So I'm really interested in this book. She's also encouraging my love of samplers. So she passed this book along to me. And I mean, there's just such great information in these books. Now, if I could get someone narrating these sampler books on Audible, that would be wonderful. So, you know. Then there's this one, Drawn Thread Embroidery. Oh my goodness. I've taken a few drawn thread classes. I've actually done a few drawn thread pieces, and I really like them. The most tedious part is just the cutting. The stitching part's easy, but it's in the weaving of the thread, but it's the cutting of the vertical and horizontal threads that just, I don't think I ever took a breath or held my breath every time I had to cut a stitch. So I'm thankful to have this one, and this book is the one that I had to dive into that night before bed. She passed this one on to me as well. Awesome. I mean, just the, look at that. Would you stitch something in those colors with that beauty? I know I would. I wouldn't hesitate. I mean, just all types of, just showing you all types of sewing implements, scissors, thimbles, glasses, samplers. Aren't those beautiful? So lots of great information. I can't wait to dive into them. I've already dived into this one. And speaking of books, speaking of enablement, Ingeborg. I love Egyptian history. It is such an interesting culture, time period, and of course there's lots of cool things in here. I love Isis. I'm not crazy about those colors. I think they're a little too modernized for me. But I would really like to stitch this, but change the colors, darken them up like a hieroglyph on a wall. More those tones. But the reason this one got my attention from Ingeborg, can you see that? It's the hunt. This, out of all the designs, and there are several, this is what I want to stitch, and it has it broken down for you there, of how you place the pieces of the, the pages from the book together to make the pattern. So thanks for sharing that with us, Ingeborg, because I love this. And when you start it, I will stitch along with you. What else? What else? I got a gift in the mail today. Right as I'm coming in, I'm planning on coming in here with my hair all ratty and my work face. This is my work face. No makeup. No, this is Lori. This is Lori au naturel. I planned on coming in and doing a quick video, and this was waiting in my mailbox. And this is from Sharon. She is a friend of mine on Instagram, and she watches my videos. And she was having a destashing, had a little destashing event on Facebook. And I bought a couple pieces from her. This one, Elizabeth's Garden. I'm sorry about that light. I put a light here to help because at night here in my home, I love it dark. If I'm stitching, I have a lamp shining on me, on what I'm stitching, but otherwise I'm just a vampire. I do not care for the lights. I like it dim. But anyway, so there's a light here and it's glaring on everything, but here's the other one I purchased from her destashing page. This one caught my attention as well as this. And it's a Perman. It's just called Danish Art Needlework. Well, that's not all she sent. Now, I purchased those two. This sweet lady sent a note that I'm going to keep to myself. But she sent folk art Santas for my Santa Sunday stitch along, as well as this one. This is Praise Yule from Stitches from the Heartland. And she said her son did this many years ago. Hestera Harmer. Isn't this gorgeous? Oh my goodness. Let me put this light down. You guys are just going to have to see the circles under my eyes. And here is one of the Darlene Osteen that I do not have, and this is the Star Sampler. There's the colored photo of it there. This one is, you can't really even see here on the little tiny picture. Look how big that pattern is. This is great for 40-something-year-old Lori. Belinda Herbert. Herbert. You can't see it at all, but it's a white work sampler. And it is a sampler held in the original is held in the collection of the Leitner Museum in St. Augustine, Florida. This is from R&R Reproductions. I have really loved looking at the GGR samplers and patterns, but I don't own any. I know it's hard to believe in it. I own everything else now. I own a lot, but she sent this one. This is Heritage. Lord knows I can't speak. I'll let you read it. Can you read that? Because I can't say it. My southern slang will butcher it. About as French as I get is French fries. And she contacted me because in my last video I was talking to you all about the red work samplers for my sampler stitch along with the Sampler Guild, and she sent me a few, and there's one that I love, and I'm going to say that one's for last, but this is Marie Jaredhind, 1871, and it is a German reproduction sampler. And the Jacoby Louisi sampler, 1904. I do like certain aspects of this. Now you can tell as far as the meaning of sampler, this is because you've got the different stitches here on the top in each line. The borders here. You know, I've learned that from reading these books I've gotten, that the young girls would keep these pieces rolled up and put away, and they would refer back to them. So they kept them a lot of times they were kept like scrolls, and they would pull them out as they needed them to refer back to how to do a stitch. Or this is a very, very, very strong contender for my sampler for the Sampler Guild. I love it. This is Catherine Thomas, 1868, GGR. Now Sharon had stitched these, or this one, and she showed me several that she has on her walls, and they are gorgeous. I mean, she has sampler walls. Come on. I aspire to one day have a sampler wall, not just one lonely sampler. I want a whole grouping of samplers. This is a very, very strong contender. Very strong contender. Now, I will say, not counting this one, I have ordered two. One I did receive this week, and I ordered it from Jen, from Jen's Stitch Niche. If you've not been watching her videos, you should check her out. Because if any of you are familiar with Shakespeare's Peddler, Teresa from Shakespeare's Peddler is Jen's best friend, and she pops in and does videos with Jen when they're having slumber parties, or what do they call them, girls' night, sleepover. If you've not watched her videos, you should take a look, and I'll make sure to link her below. So she lets me know that Teresa had designed one, and this is it here, and it's Anne Womack, 1838. This is my second very strong contender. And the verse says, "Time is always moving on. Time, we soon may say it's gone. Time is fleeting, and we know time at last will disappear." Anne Womack. So unfortunately, that light does not want to this looks like the original. I got this from Jen, as well as Pumpkin Spice Farm. This is another Flosstube. So if you've not seen Kathy Haberman, Hands On Design, she has a Flosstube. You should check her out. I'll make sure I link her below too. But I love this little design. Several people have finished it up. I look forward to getting started on this one too. Maybe this will be my Pal Stitch Retreat piece. What else do I have? So these are my two, and I have one more on the way. The designer is on holiday, and that is going to be Nicola Parkman. She has a sampler by, it's a reproduction sampler from the Bristol Orphanage. So it was an orphanage, and from what I understand, and I may not be 100% accurate because I only kind of scanned over the information and it was online, The Bristol sampler, of course, was an orphanage for girls, and the girls were known in that orphanage to wear red capes, not capes, coats. And I assumed that they were wool, but also their samplers were red. And they were red because the patron of the orphanage was I don't know whether he was a cloth merchant, but he dyed fabrics. And of course, he was known for his red dye. So, not only was it an orphanage, not only was it a reproduction sampler, I love all the history. Like I've said before, I'm very sentimental. I love for a piece to have a story, as all of these do, especially the Anne Womack. This one has a recent story because it was stitched by my friend Sharon and it was a gift. So I'm not sure which of the three I'm going to stitch for my Sampler Guild piece, but those are two of the contenders, and I can't wait to show you the third when it comes in. Nicole is on holiday. Awesome customer service. Ordered it directly from her website. She was very plain on her website to say that she would be away and she gave the dates. The next day after ordering it, I got a personal email from her wanting to make sure that I understood that she was on holiday. She would not return it, would not be mailed till another week or so down the road. And I said, yes, I did see it, and I thank you and have a great time. But just for her to take that little step further and to say, hey, I just want to make sure, I'm glad you bought the pattern. I want to make sure you understand that it's not going to come to you speedy. I love that. I love that little touch of personal to that order. So I also got something this week from the Striped Rose, Michelle, and she sent this Treasured Friends Darlene Osteen to me with these girls remind me of McKenna. Do you see why? I think they're posing for an Instagram picture. And how many of you sat back and watched the live video from McKenna and Michelle Bendy Stitchy Thursday, Friday, where they were in Las Vegas at the stitch shop there, and they were doing a live video feed, and the phone was ringing off the hook in the background as they showed us things. There were stitchers calling and placing orders. How wonderful to revitalize a shop. If any of you decide to do a live video when you're visiting a shop just to show us what we have, of course ask permission first, but I'm there. One last purchase. This is a purchase. This is not a gift. This is Stitcher Ellen on Instagram showed this. And this is a reproduction sampler. And someone who has a blog charted it. And I hadn't opened it, but it's blocked. So I want to pull this part out. Just Stitching Along is the name of the blog. And this is the sampler. I love it. Love it. So I have a stack of samplers on the other end of this dining room table, waiting on Mr. Jacob to sit down for a few minutes with his mom to help her decide which samplers to stitch for next year. And this is in that pile. So this lady, I can't remember her name. Is it written on here? Just says, thanks Sherry and Terry. Now that's framing. Just Stitching Along, Miss Lucy Calcutt, 1825. If you're interested, go to her blog, and she has a link there for you to purchase this. As I said, she had stitched and charted this herself, and it's a huge piece. I mean, she shows a picture, it looks like on her front porch with her holding this piece, and it is huge, but it is absolutely gorgeous. And those corals and pinks and fuchsias and greens. Some of my favorite colors. Love it. I can't remember the price. I think it was $20 for it. And here's a little show of one of the birds. And what else? that's all I've got going on. This week, I'm sure I'm going to put in a few more stitches on my Hot Run Hollow. Also on my needles and pins, I will work on it a little tonight. And I've got plans for this coming weekend. I have a get-together with some girls after work to stitch on Thursday night. And that's about it. So you may or may not see a video from me this weekend. It may be another Monday video, but hey, no matter when you're watching, I'm glad you're watching. And I also want to say thank you to everyone that has sent me the gifts that I showed this evening. I do really appreciate it. Everyone says it, and I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. This community is wonderful. It's so giving and accepting of every stitcher and enabling. There's just so many adjectives I could use to describe this community, but I just really want to say thank you. The comments that I receive on the videos make my day. I love them. I try to respond to every single one. I read every single one. I have the regulars that pop in every time, which I just love. And also it's a way to you're interacting with someone. You're getting to know other stitchers and their styles and what they like. And you're sharing often the love for certain designers and pieces. So once again, just thank you so much for taking the time to comment and like the videos and taking the time to reach out to me and send me something that you think that I would like to have. I'm feeling the love, and I hope I can show it back to you as well. Have a great week. Like I said, I may or may not see you this weekend, but I hope you enjoy the week. And my heart, I can't close this video without saying my heart goes out to everyone in Vegas right now, and the shock that I'm sure the city is feeling. You're all in my prayers, all those that may or may not have lost someone or have been affected by the tragedy that occurred this morning. We feel it. Even across the U.S., we're all feeling it. We feel it together as Americans. So, hugs and stitches, everyone. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.